Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students. This is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Conceptual Foundations of Education. This video is based on Sociology of Childhood Development, and in this lecture we will be discussing on society and the education of children. This video lecture is developed by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator or the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer of this video is Professor Ejaz Masih from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTS Swayam Prabha channels of MHRD, at present called as Ministry of Education, Government of India. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to have a discussion on the sociology of childhood development, and in this lecture we will focus on society and the education of children. The objectives of this session will be to elaborate the relation between education and society, to discuss the impact of society on education, to explain the impact of education on society, and to discuss the duties of education and society towards each other. So let us start the discussion. Society is a web of relationship, and these relations are fundamental for understanding human behavior and different institutions of the society. The understanding of social relations, the roles and status, norms and values are core concern of understanding of society. The term society is rooted in Latin word societas, which means friend and ally. The term used to describe a relation or interaction among groups. The concept of society is defined by a large number of thinkers who are sociologists or the social anthropologists and other social scientists. And among the definitions given by these people, they mostly follow two ways as basic unit in society. The first one is the social action and the other one is interaction. American sociologists McLever and Page have given a very kind of good definition which considers, under quotes, society as a system of usage and procedures of authority and mutual aid of many groupings and divisions of control of human behavior and of liberties. Quotes close. So in this way they have given a very kind of beautiful definition of society. So in this way we can say that if we see society as a large group of people who interact with each other, who share the same culture, territory and way of life, they can be considered as the part of the society. Its usage, the usage of the word society is very wide, and it ranges from one small community, which can be a city or a village, to the world human society or the entire world population, from the primitive culture to postmodern culture, which differs with time and place. And in this way, the concept of community and society cannot be taken up as similar. So they are not same. So society is an abstract, broad and general concept, whereas community is a constituent of society and it characterizes with definite territory, close relationship, which we also call as the we feeling or the fellow feeling, and the cultural similarity. A famous sociologist, Talcott Parsons, uh, he has used the term social system for society and considered interaction as the basic unit to explain the human behavior and also the actions, where he says that only the action is not social unless multiplicity of people involved in interactions can be seen. So in this way, it is explained by Talcott Parsons. So society may be viewed as a system of interrelated, mutually dependent parts which cooperate to preserve a recognizable whole and to satisfy some purpose or goal. Society, sociology, and educational sociology are intimately connected with education. So each society, keeping in view its own needs, the ideals, the aspirations, organizes its education in such a manner that it is able to realize its ideals and develop its individuals into dynamic citizens. And this is possible only when all of its individuals are able to mold their behavior according to the ideals of the society and are able to achieve a harmonious adjustment with the society itself. So education is the most powerful means to achieve this aim. And that is why a society is basically in the conformity sense, or in making in conformity with the times and the circumstances, determines the kind of education its members are supposed to receive to develop themselves into able and useful members to make the society a sound, a stable and powerful in all spheres of life. So it is a crystal clear or a very to the point fact that education is a very powerful medium of change in the hands of society to organize and mold its educational pattern to suit the aims, the ideals, and the purposes which this society is having. So in this way, we can say that education is a very important tool in the hands of the society to make a kind of upliftment of the society itself. So let us have a look on the relation between education and society. We have seen that education and society are intimately related, and once the lecture will go on, this particular idea will establish in a very proper way. So it is this society which determines and formulates the pattern of its education according to the needs, the ideals, and the ambitions which this society is having. So we can say that as the society is willing to, the same will be the education or the type of education which is going to be imparted. So in this way, education follows and tries to realize the ideals of the society which basically uh, is served in the society. So to be very much clear about this, the changing pattern of a society brings about the corresponding changes in the educational processes and the patterns. And if we look back towards the history, basically the history proves this axiom very clearly and definitely. So let us just have a look on few of those points in which we are going to see some of the societies and how the relationship between the education and these societies, the major philosophy which was followed by the society basically gave a kind of notion in which the society can be defined. So let us just have a look at what exactly was the focus, how the relation between education and the society was seen in these typical societies. So the first one which I'm going to discuss is the ancient and medieval society. So, during the ancient and medieval times, religion had its a very powerful kind of impact over the society. And consequently, education was also of very much religious in nature. And that is why, in conformity to the religious tenets, ceremonies, and the rituals, uh, all these were a lot of emphasis was given to all these tenets of religion and ceremonies and the rituals. They were basically emphasized uh, to to basically develop the character, the attitude, and behavior of the individuals who were uh, the part of the society. So this was something which gave a kind of way in which we can say that what exactly was the focus of the ancient and medieval societies. Now comes to the next point. The next type of society which I'm going to discuss is modern society. And if we look towards, a little bit of introspection can be done, and we can just see that science and technology, basically science, has a powerful impact upon the modern society. And that is why education tries to promote a lot of critical thinking, reasoning, discrimination between things, then judgment, logical thinking, then a lot of togetherness between the uh, scientific ideals and the people with other mental powers of individuals to the utmost. It may be noted that present day society has various forms, and each type of society organizes its education according to its needs and the ideals. So, in this way, we can say that even there can be many classifications of the society, and that is why we will be discussing a little bit in a way where we can say that this dominance, that this particular idea was dominating, and that is why the society can be named by that idea. So the next type of society which will be discussed is the idealistic society. In an idealistic society, great importance is attached or given to the ideals and intelligence. An education is organized to achieve the ideas or the ideals of the maybe whatever is the focus. So at times we can see that in the idealistic society, spiritual development is given a lot of importance. And that is why in such a society, education emphasizes character formation and moral development. Then the next form of society, which I'm willing to discuss, is the materialistic society. In a materialistic society, the material welfare and the affluence of the materialistic thought process are greatly emphasized. A very little importance is attached to spiritual and moral values. And that is why the whole educational pattern is organized to develop abilities in the individuals to achieve more and more physical pleasure and material welfare in all fields of life. And we can find that the idea of capitalism can also be very dominant seen, like we can find this capitalist kind of ideology in the materialistic society in a very prominent way. So this is something where the education, because education also backs the way in which the society is going, so that's why we can find that educational pattern is organized to develop the abilities in the individuals to achieve more and more materialistic welfare in this materialistic society. The next type of the society can be recollected as the pragmatic society. What exactly we mean by this particular type of the society? As the philosophy of pragmatism, or the people who believe in pragmatism, can be considered as the pragmatists, they believe that truth is related to times, circumstances, and places, and that is why it changes to suit the changing conditions of life and society. The test of truth is therefore its verification by different type of experimentations and application. So in this way we can say that the pragmatists lay great stress upon education to develop capacities to create new values to suit the changing pattern of social conditions and situations. So we can say that in the pragmatic society we can find a great stress given upon the education, which is very much keen to develop the capacities to create the new values to suit the changing pattern of social conditions and situations. Then comes the next society or the form of society, which can be considered as the fascist society. In a fascist society, state or the government is very powerful. It has the complete power. In such a state, the individual is of very little significance. And that is why in a fascist society, an individual is expected to sacrifice uh, all the type of thinking patterns and every single thing, even his or her life for the sake of the state. So we can say that education here in this type of society is organized in such a way that it promotes absolute obedience and an kind of attitude to complete surrender for the state. In such a society, only the people who are really capable, or the children who are uh, really capable of doing great things, or who can be considered as gifted at times, are allowed to receive education. It can be a very harsh statement, but this is true that we find that only those who are so much capable and kind of gifted are allowed or can gain or can get education in this type of society, and the masses are generally discouraged to have any education which can worth the name. So basically the masses are only the people who work or who are the laborers, so they don't uh, basically get any kind of superseding or kind of education which can give them some name or some worth. Then the next form of the society is the democratic society. In a democratic society, freedom and full development of all the individuals are actually given a lot of value. So it is valued the most. Every single citizen is allowed full opportunities to develop their individuality to the fullest extent in this type of society. And for this purpose, each individual is provided education according to his or her needs, nature, and requirements. Nothing is basically forced from outside, and nothing is imposed by the virtue of any authority. Even the state is not forcing any individual here in this democratic society to work in a way in which the state is willing to. So the individual is having all the liberty to go for an education which is interesting to that individual, or which is according to the need of the individual. Social and moral qualities, together with human sentiments and uh, all those things which a human being is requiring for the all-round development, basically is facilitated. Uh, all the human sentiments are basically respected and are developed through wholesome and harmonious education, so that all the individuals develop the fullest of their personalities. They can bloom, the personalities can be nurtured and are and all the individuals can become able to contribute their utmost to the social good and the welfare of the state, the nation, and the world. So, the democratic society is considered, in my opinion, the best way of achieving education, or the best form of society which can be very much conducive for getting education to all the individuals. Unfortunately, we have got a country, we are living in a country which is belonging to the democratic society. Now, let us see what exactly is the impact of society on education. To discuss this point, let us see one by one that what can be those particular type of influences which a society can make on education. The first point which is to be discussed is the influence of social structure and ideals. And we have seen all these things, that the ideals of a society basically determine the ideals and values which education is supposedly to achieve in due course. So, a closed and a despotic society will have its organizational pattern of education to develop qualities of absolute and meek obedience, together with attitudes of complete and unquestioning self surrender. While if we just see the case which is very much opposite to it, which can be considered the open and democratic society, this type of societies, the open and the democratic societies, will advocate education to promote free thinking, a kind of attitude which is very much free in nature, free reasoning, an eagerness towards cooperation, uh, taking initiatives and self-discipline together with other kind of experiences, or even the self-experiences and the activities according to a person's own needs, nature, activities, like those things which a person is willing to do, and inherent capacities. Such societies plan and encourage mass educational schemes and promote people's education to the fullest possible extent. So, uh, this is something which can be considered as the influence of the social structure and ideals of the society influencing the education of that particular society. The second point is the influence of the political condition. Whatever will be the political condition, definitely it is going to place a kind of impact on the education. So the political ideologies also influence education to a very kind of great extent. We can see that the political doctrines and all those ideologies are set up uh, to make the citizens act in a particular way, and these are basically set up by the state. Basically, the state organizes the education also according to the ideology which the system of that time, the political system of that time, is basically adopting. So basically, we can say that education is something which goes around the political aim at times, and even the ideas which are to be achieved through the educational processes and the programs. So the purpose is just to prepare the citizens, uh, which are in the in a way going to give a kind of conformity to the political system or the political ideology of the time. Then the next influence can be seen, the influence of the economic condition. The influence of economic condition of the society on education can also be seen very prominently. Economic condition of the society exerts its great influence upon the educational pattern. And this is because of the fact that educational activities and the programs require a great amount of financial support. It is not possible for a country or for a state to basically impart education without any kind of financial support. So those societies where basically those societies which are affluent and plentiful, uh, they provide a kind of financial support in a very liberal way to the educational plans of mass education, and also provide various types of education to increasing number of children. And these type of countries are able to provide good kind of infrastructure, um, and this infrastructure can include the buildings, the campuses, the educational aids, maybe those specific aids like the libraries and the laboratories in a very sufficient number and in a quantity which is required. But just on the contrary, those societies which are poor and which don't have much financial support or much financially affluent, uh, in these countries, uh, it is still a very difficult task for providing to the educational system such type of support where all these facilities, the infrastructure and all those facilities can be provided in the quantity and the quality in which it is required. So all the citizens who need all types of vocational or technical, professional, or commercial, and maybe in few cases some sort of very specialized education where it can be agricultural or any other type of education to achieve their own development and the development of the society. In the poor or the economically backward societies, it is difficult for the state to provide such type of educations. But on the contrary, those societies who are affluent in nature, they will be providing all those required educations to their citizens. Now let's come to see the next influence, which is the religious conditions. Religious ideas and beliefs of a society influence the educational pattern to a great extent. Those societies which hold a financial or financial support to all those religious background institutions, they also uh, at times follow a set of ideas. But in the societies who are very much fundamentalist or maybe a kind of fanatic on the religious beliefs, they plan their education in their own way and they deny free thinking and liberal attitudes to be inculcated in their children. So, a very closed and a very kind of orthodox thinking is basically promoted. But on the other hand, if you just see towards the societies which believe in free thinking, liberal attitudes, and those societies who respect all the religions for all the purposes, they provide like a very kind of neutral education, and they also don't feel any hesitation in terms of providing any type of religious institution to give access for uh, providing the citizens who are interested to get that type of education, the liberty to provide education. So for all religious type of institutions or education, uh, the state provide education on a secular and liberal nature and promote liberal attitudes and respect for all religions, emphasizing only on the morality, values, uh, to become the basis for educational processes and the programs. So we can find such states, such countries where we can see the openness towards any type of religious education, or maybe um, the, the way in which the behavior is seen towards any type of religious thinking. Then comes the next influence, and this is the influence of social thought. The social point of view has its own unavoidable impact upon education. In a society where old customs and traditions basically are taken up, uh, taking a kind of lead, or they are considered to be supreme, education is planned in the old traditional ways, emphasizing the traditional ideals and values. They become impervious to new values and modern thoughts. But on the other hand, on the contrary to it, the societies where progressive values and modern thoughts are given a lot of importance, we can find people to gain and and hold a diverse type of kind of education, which is progressive and which is having a lot of modern aims. The curriculum, um, and even all those practices which are adapted for educating the children and the citizens is very much progressive in nature. The techniques of education are also progressive and new, and even the devices and all those things which are the part of the educational practice is very much new and modern. So this is why like we can say that even the social thought is very much influential in terms of seeing that how society impacts on the education or educational system. Then influence of the social change. So, we can see that society changes with the change of social ideals, attitudes, and values of people. Linked as education, uh, like all those linkages of education, is with the society, and the changes which occur in the society can also be seen in the educational patterns, the procedures, the policies, and the programs. And we can find a lot of examples even in our country where we can see that as the society changed, or the modern systems were adapted, a lot of change can be seen in the system of our country, and the education system is not actually uh, very far from it. Even with every policy of education, a lot of change can be seen in the curriculum, in the way of imparting education, and all those ideas which are very much the part of the education. Even the thought process, the interventions which are made in terms of educating children with every forthcoming policy. As the policy changes, the the system of education also changes, and the curriculum changes, and everything is basically uh, can be seen colored in that particular change which has happened. So this is something which can be seen as the impact of society on education. So after seeing the impact of society on education, let us see the impact of education on society. And here also we will see the areas, the arenas where we can find the impact very much reflecting. So the first point is the preservation of social heritage. Education preserves social and cultural heritage, and this is something which is very much well known. It's a well known fact. As a matter of fact, each society has its own customs, traditions, together with moral and religious creeds, which are these societies' achievements. And this can be seen from old time, like from the earlier times. And we can say that each society has a legitimate pride over its social heritage, which is never basically this society will never allow to decay and die out. That particular heritage is something which is conserved inside the society. So education conserves and preserves this social heritage, which is the basic function of a society. The next point is the awakening of social feelings. An individual is very closely related to the society. This individual can achieve the development in and through the society, promoting the good of other people or other members of the society. Without society, an individual basically cannot exist. We can say this because human beings are considered as a social being. So therefore, development of social awareness, social feelings and social attitudes is very essential from all points of view. So in this way, it is the education which inculcates such social attitudes, ideals, and values together with the spirit of service and sacrifice for the cause of other people who are the part of the society. Where we can find varieties of educational programs, different processes, activities, experiences, and active participation in all sort of activities which make the individual a kind of person who is social minded and service oriented, and this is the only way in which we can create cohesiveness inside the society. So this is again a function or an impact of education on the society. The next point is the political development of society. So education basically helps in an important manner in the political development of the society. It is through education that an individual is able to gain knowledge about various political ideologies operating in the world. Otherwise, we will be very much ignorant about whatever is happening in the world. So one can acquire a balanced outlook after a comparative study to all those political doctrines which are present in, and even the state in which we live, the country in which we live, whatever political ideology our country is following, we have to have a proper knowledge and understanding of that political doctrine or the political way of thinking. So in this way, education spreads political awakening in the people, developing kind of civic sense uh, or awareness of their rights, their duties for the promotion of their own good. And we can say that if we are making an individual aware, or so that he or she can become useful or good for himself or herself, automatically this individual, because he belongs to the society, we are doing good for the society. So in this way, education can be seen very much helpful in the political development of the society. The next impact of education on society can be seen in the form of the economic development of the society. Education develops society in economic or economically also, and we can see this in a very kind of transparent way, uh, because to achieve the goal, education basically provides various types of vocational trainings or whatever type of education is required by the citizens to do any sort of work which they want to do. So any sort of training to the children, to uplift the children and to bring about all those economic progress and prosperity of the society to which the citizens belong to. So this is something, once the country will become self-sufficient, self-reliant and economically stable, we can find the society growing. So we can say that without education, a society remains economically backward and consequently remains to be poor in the eyes of the world and the community, basically the entire world community, because they don't have economic self-sufficiency, so they can be considered as backward. So this is why it is very much important, and it can be seen as the important impact of education on the society towards making it economically self-sufficient. Next impact can be seen in the form of social control. So education basically exposes the evil customs and the harmful traditions of the society. And it not only does this, it creates public opinion against the social evils, and basically awareness is developed. So uh, because everybody becomes aware of that, whatever is happening, if it's not good for the people, it can be considered as the evil custom. So once people get educated, they know that whatever they are doing is good or bad. So uh, basically after getting education, people become people get succeeded in eliminating all those bad or evil things from the society, which is which will be considered as good for the individuals as well as good for the complete society. So in this way we can say that education is greatly essential for social control. Without social control, no reformation is possible in a society. Then the next point is the social change. And in the words of Ottave, where he says that he has basically asserted that education brings about social changes of very important nature. We see that due to modern science, new researches and techniques, revolutionary changes are occurring in all fields of human activities. Education imparts knowledge of these latest developments to the individuals, and it provides adequate inspiration for their use, which in turn bring about the creation of new ideals, values, and goals, which the society gradually adopts. So bringing social change is also very much important kind of impact of education on the society. Then the next point is social reform. Education brings basically some sort of we have seen that social change and social reform is basically it's a continuous process which happens in a continuous manner. So it does not only achieve identification and adjustment with the present social state of affairs, but also develops intelligence, insight, and capability to remove what is bad or what is not considered to be good for the society from all those things which are desirable. Uh, the desirable changes and reforms to the social fabric of the society for the good of the society, and also the part of the society which are the individuals can be seen to be can be seemed to be actually brought about by the education in the society. So this gives a kind of welfare to the social system and the society itself. Then the next point is the socialization of the child. So education basically is very much helpful in the socialization of a child. In the school, when we send a child to a school, um, the child comes in contact with other children and also comes in contact with other people like the teacher, the administration of the school, and this child actually comes to know about about the interests and all those things which the child likes to do. And this happens after the interaction, um, basically with the teachers, with the other peer group members, and once this child basically interact with them, their ideas, their cultural values, and the patterns or the behavior of these people actually makes a kind of impact on this child. So in this way, the child develops in himself or herself kind of social and cultural values. This child imbibes the cultural values and ideals of the society of which this child is an integral part of. So, with all those points which we just have discussed, we can say that the close and intimate relationship of society and education is very much there, and both of these, the society and the education, are mutually interdependent, and basically they are complementary in nature. And as in the society, whatever the form of the society will be, the same will be the type of education, and vice versa. So in this way we can say that uh, because of all these facts, the society organizes education according to its needs, ideals, and aspirations, and education in turn constructs and often reconstructs the social structure. So, this way we can prove that both of them are very much interdependent and complementary to each other. Let us have a look on the duties of society towards education. We all have seen just now that there are a lot of important things which are very much to be considered by the society in terms of the development of the society. And here the development is very much related to the development of the individual members of the society. And because of this reason, the society basically organizes the proper education, and also there are a lot of duties which are to be completed by the society in terms of educating the individuals. So let us just have a look on those duties which are very much important to be accomplished by the society in terms of education. So the first one is the establishment of schools, and we can say that it is the prime duty of the society to establish and maintain schools for all the age groups of children, and even for the adults who have not received any education. Then also to provide a kind of conducive environment, the teachers who can teach in these schools, and all the aids which are required for the going on, or for running the educational institutions, all those resources which are required to run the educational institution for the harmonious development of all the children and other individuals of the school. So this is something which is considered very much important, the establishment of schools. The next point is the provision of vocational education. So this can be considered as the second duty of the society, uh, because the vocational or the technical or professional, maybe at times agricultural and other types of education for the individuals, uh, imparting all this specific type of education is also very much important duty of the society to provide to the individuals who are having the interest or aptitude or inherent capacities in the specialized areas, so that they can develop to the fullest extent, and they can contribute effectively to the progress and prosperity of the society. This is also a very important fact. Then the next duty is the establishment of the resource rooms or the libraries. So this is very important for the mental progress and development of the individuals. The society is having this duty to establish and maintain more and more reading rooms and libraries, where a lot of magazines, newspapers, journals, periodicals, good books can be made available, so that the children and the adults can come and they can actually go through these material which will impart a good education to them. Then the next point is the establishment of gymnasiums. So physical well-being and development of the individuals is equally important and essential. So this again becomes the responsibility or a duty of the society to develop or to establish the gymnasiums so that physical education uh, or physical development can be ensured. Even they can organize for different activities inside the gymnasiums, or maybe which can be developed or which can be done um, in the gymnasiums or in the close vicinity of the gymnasiums. Then the next duty is the provision of academic and cultural education. So this can again be considered as the essential duty of a society, so that the cultural ethos and the academic development of the individuals through proper education can be ensured. So it may be very much considered important that the schools and other educational centers established by the society can contribute a great deal in this connection, so that the cultural ethos can be propagated very much properly. So the academic and cultural functions together with conferences can also be organized frequently to achieve these purposes. Then the next point is the provision of adult education. So this is also one of the duties of the society to make the adequate provision for adult education, and it can be seen that all these societies are quite conscious of providing education for the children, but at times we can find that there is no much emphasis given to the adult education, which is something which can't be ignored, and it should be seen, it should be actually taken care of, that all those individuals who are in their middle ages and who cannot read or write can also be provided with some of those um, educational um, resources or educational means which can make them uplifted, which can motivate them to usefully grow themselves, their personalities, and this is again going to bring social welfare and social development of the society. Then the next duty is the enlisting of the cooperation of other agencies. So the society should try to enlist the cooperation of all agencies in organizing its educational programs, policies, and procedures. So even we can find the agencies like the family, the religion, school, community, and other formal agencies can be taken up together with informal agencies, uh, and they can actually cooperate among themselves with the different type of educational efforts and the activities, so that growth and development of the individuals in all the aspects can be ensured. So this is something which can be, all these listed things can be considered as the duties of the society towards education. Now let us see the duties of education towards the society. So the first point which I would like to consider is the preservation of the culture and civilization. So this is the primary duty of the education towards the society, to preserve the culture and civilization which is the part of the society, and in this way we can say that the customs, the traditions, beliefs, ideals, the language, the morality, and all those accepted patterns of behaviors are the basis of education and culture. So it should be made the part of the education. And then in this way, we can say that education should preserve and develop the social heritage. The next point is the maintenance of culture and civilization. So the first one was preservation. The second one is maintenance. So uh, once the things are preserved, are actually brought in, then to maintain them is also one of the important duties of education towards the society. And in this connection, education should not only impart knowledge of the cultures, uh, basically the excellent features of the culture and the achievements of the civilization, but it should also see that these values become part of the behavior patterns of the individuals. So this is something in terms of the maintenance of the culture. The next point is the development of culture and civilization of the society. So education should not only preserve and maintain, but also develop more and more cultural heritages and the civilizational achievements for the society. Um, if education fails to perform this important duty, society will become static and there will be stagnation. So progress and progressiveness is something which should be developed, and this can only be possible if education does the job or the duties which it should do. So education should enable individuals to become dynamic and proceed towards the higher and higher heights of excellence. The next point is the fulfillment of social needs. So education should fulfill the needs um, and all those requirements of the society. For making the requirements fulfilled, basically education is very much responsible. So we can remember the needs of the society change with the changing times, the changing circumstances and the situations. So education should understand these needs in a very proper way, and then accordingly it should devise the plans and the programs to meet these demands, and it should be become a continuous and ongoing process. And that is why we can find that a lot of policies, a lot of changes occur in our system as well, so that we can see that what exactly is needed right now, and according to the need we can plan the future aspects in terms of educating our children and our citizens. So then comes the next point, which is the importance uh, which is given to the curriculum. Now, education is basically at times very much keen towards the formulation of the curriculum, which is suited to the modern needs of the society. And if we see it in a broader way, we can say that without a suitable and effective curriculum, education will fail in its duty to develop the individuals, basically to prepare the individuals to face the challenges of life and to solve the emerging problems with very much confidence, boldness, uh, courage and conviction. So that's why education should always remain conscious and sensitive towards the purpose of the development of a proper and effective curriculum. The next duty is the development of constructive powers. This is again a very important duty of education. Uh, this is towards the promotion and development of more and more creative and constructive faculties of the individuals. And this is only basically after the constructive faculties of individuals is developed, then only we will be able to develop the overall personalities in a very harmonious manner of the individuals. And these individuals who are having the development of their personalities in a harmonious manner will be able to contribute in a positive way towards the development of society, and also can bring the national welfare as well. So this is something which is very much important, and these duties which education has towards the society is something which is very, very important, and every single individual who is related in the area of education should be very much aware towards the duties which education has for the good of the society in which we live. So in this way, now we have reached to the end of this lecture. Let us just have a quick recap. We have seen the relation between education and the society, which is very much intimate. And here we have seen different set of societies where we have also just have a look we had a look at what exactly was the focus of that particular type of society in terms of the relation between that particular society and the education of that time. Then we saw the impact of society on education. And we have seen that the influence of the social structure and the ideals, then the political conditions, economic condition, religious condition, social thought, then social change. All these are basically very much they put a lot of impact um, on on the education, and basically these are those attributes of the society which are very much impactful on the education system of the time. Then we have also seen the impact of education on the society. We saw that how education is responsible for the preservation of social heritage, awakening of social feelings, then the political development of the society, economic development of the society, social control, bringing social change, social reform, and also the socialization of the child. After this, we actually gone through the duties of the society towards education, and also we have seen the duties of education towards the society. So in this way, this entire lecture has given a kind of idea that how basically the society and the education is having a lot of relationships. These are few of those references and the links which were used while developing this lecture. You can also go through and you can learn more about the development of society and the related aspects. So for this time, thanks from my side. See you in another lecture some other time. Thank you so much. Dear students, you were watching a video on the sociology of childhood development, and this lecture discussed about the society and the education of children. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.